Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everybody. My name's Sarah, and I work in the Office of Admissions, and we're going to get started here in a minute or so. Just wanted to start the live stream, and then we'll get started as we go. I was going to ask where you guys were from, so I'm so excited to see that you're already dropping that in the chat. That's awesome. Was it Annie's from South Carolina? You need to let me know what part of South Carolina you're from, because I'm going to Hilton Head next week just for fun, not for admissions things. But I'm really excited. I've never been to South Carolina before, so I was happy. Oh, Greenville. I don't know where that is in relation to Hilton Head because my South Carolina geography is poor. But I'm sure it's very lovely, and I'm looking forward to visiting your state. Let's see, we've got people from Boston. There was somebody from China earlier. Manhattan Beach, California. I visited you for work 2 years ago. It was beautiful. I would move there. Mantino. Oh my gosh, were you on my visit there? So sorry, my computer is buzzing to let me know that we're doing Inside Admissions Live. I hope that you're one of my people. That would be so exciting. Thank you for joining us. Oh my gosh, we're just rocking and rolling. Alabama, Arizona. It's warm and sunny there, you lucky soul. It's 50 degrees in the Midwest today. It was 80 earlier this week. So enjoy that Arizona hot weather all you can. We're going to give a few more minutes as people start to join us, and then we'll get started. If you want to drop where you're from in the chat box, I'm commenting on my lack of geography knowledge. So let us know where you're from, and we'll get started here in a few seconds. Oh my gosh, someone said it snowed there. I don't know where you're from, but dude, that's intense. Actually, I just saw some friends of mine live in Colorado, and it snowed there. Hard pass. Indiana people, hey. Baltimore, Maryland, LA, Minnesota, it's snowy there. St. Louis, you guys are awesome. Ann Arbor, Michigan, Pennsylvania, you're from all over. Cool. Well, let's rock and roll. Let's get this show started. My name's Sarah. I work in the Office of Admissions. We're so thankful that you guys joined us tonight. We're going to talk about deadlines and what they are, why they matter. First, I want everyone that's watching to take a deep breath. Let it out. I know that senior year is stressful. I know that deadlines are probably driving you bananas. We've got to have them, so sorry, but just know that the deadline chaos will come to an end at some point. You'll go to college. It'll be wonderful. And I just know that right now is really chaotic. But hopefully by the end of today, you feel a little better, you walk a little lighter, you sleep a little easier, and we get all your questions answered. Excuse me. I'm thankful I lost my voice earlier this week. So I'm thankful I have a voice, but now I have a cough. So bear with me today, my friends. I didn't take enough vitamin C. It's that cold weather. So I hope that you watched the 8 or 9 minute video that we emailed out to you about the deadlines that are fast approaching. My good friend and colleague, James Crawley, kind of walked you through our admissions process, the dates that are important, November 1st, and why those deadlines matter. So if you didn't get the chance to watch that, you can always find it in our YouTube channel. But just to give you a very quick rundown, and then we'll get to questions for those people who didn't watch the video before, like we told you to. I'll give you a quick synopsis, and then we'll move right into questions. Thank you for telling me to feel better soon, Kelsey. You're very sweet. The first and most important, and if you take one thing away from this live today, please apply before November 1st. That's our early action deadline. If you apply before November 1st, you will be considered for merit scholarships, and you'll have a decision on January 15th. The vast majority of our applicants apply before November 1st. If you end up applying regular decision, it's not the end of the world, and we can talk about that later. But there's really just no reason to drag out the process. And like I said, we can go into more detail because I'm sure you guys have questions about that. But November 1st is that day where we need your entire application. We don't require you to submit official test scores, nor do we require you to submit official transcripts until after you're admitted to the university. So you don't have to wait on your guidance counselor to send your transcript over. You don't need to like play phone tag with College Board to send over your test scores. The whole application process can be done by you, which is awesome, and really gives you no reason to not apply to meet the deadline. So make sure you write November 1st across your forehead, whatever you have to do, just nail that date into your head. November 1st is also the firm deadline for applications into our vet nursing program. It's the priority deadline for computer science, nursing, and flight. So if you are interested in any of those things, if you're interested in vet nursing, you have to apply before November 1st. End of story. And if you're interested in computer science, nursing, and flight, we do have very few seats available for students who apply after November 1st, but they're not guaranteed. So make sure that you submit your application before November 1st. Somebody needs to count how many times I say that tonight. One thing to mention, when you're filling out your application, you do get the chance to select 2 different colleges or 2 different programs that you want to apply into. All of our students apply directly into what it is that they want to study. So you will get the chance to apply to your top choice major, which we'll consider you for first. And then you'll have the ability to select a second choice option. This is really, really important if Purdue is your top school. If, I meet 2 kinds of students when I'm on the road or we're in the office and we're meeting with families. One group of students, they really want to be computer science majors. And whether they major in computer science at Purdue or another institution, that's cool with them. They just want to study computer science. That's perfectly fine to be that student. The other student really wants to come to Purdue, and they bleed black and gold, and they've got 3,000 Boilermakers in their family, and they've been to every football game since they were born. Those students might be a little more flexible in what they want to study, and that's fine too. And so that second choice is really a good option for those students who know that Purdue is a top choice of theirs, just to keep us in the running come March, April, May when you're making your decision. So pick your top 2 majors. Jackson wants to know what the whole application is that's due. Great question. We actually have a video on our YouTube channel from 2 months ago. That's a quick snippet that gives you the full rundown, but I can give you a very brief synopsis of that video. We need the application itself, either the Common App or the Coalition App. We need the Common App essay. There are 6 or 7 writing prompts to choose from. Let your personality shine through. We need your grades and test scores self-reported. We need an application fee, $60, or there's a number of ways to get waivers for that. And we also need 2 Purdue-specific questions. Why Purdue? Why this major? They're like a paragraph each. Just be really candid and honest. So that's what we need. Letters of recommendation are not required, so they will not set you back if you send those to us after November 1st. Great question, though. Now, moving on. I'm trying to do this synopsis fast because I see all your questions rolling in. Scholarship deadlines, if you want to be considered for a merit scholarships, again, apply before November 1st, no exceptions. If you roll in November 2nd at 1 o'clock in the morning, unfortunately, we've got to get you, or you won't be considered. So November 1st, end of story. The sooner you apply, the sooner you have access to fill out the supplemental scholarship application. This is for some of our academic colleges, so not everyone will have access to these, but it will give you access to some smaller scholarships and some scholarships that are unique to your academic college. So if you get your application sent in, then you have access to your student portal where you can fill out the supplemental scholarship application and just have more time to complete that. That supplemental scholarship application, as well as the FAFSA, have to be submitted by December 15th. So another deadline will be coming down the road after November, but make sure that you get that supplemental scholarship application to us should you qualify. Let me make sure I get everything. The FAFSA is available to you. So another deadline, again, December 15th. and is when the FAFSA is due if you're applying for those supplemental scholarships. Otherwise, the sooner the better that you can get that to us. The sooner we have it, the quicker we can package your financial aid offer once we release decisions in January. Last deadline, and then I'm going to talk to you guys and answer all of your questions because I see them rolling in and I love it. May 1st is the universal college decision deadline. So you have until May 1st to accept your offer of admission. Okay, I lied. We have 2 deadlines that are looming. So May 1st to accept your offer of admission. End of story. It should be that way at all of the colleges you apply to. So you'll have plenty of time this spring to think about where you want to go, and you can accept your offer at any point after receiving your decision on January 15th. You can also accept your admission to the Honors College if you are admitted to that. If you are interested in the Honors College, you have to apply before November 1st, and there's an additional essay that you'll need to complete. Last one, I promise, and then I can answer all of your questions. The housing deadline. Our housing is not first come, first serve. All of our students who accept their offer of admission are guaranteed housing as long as they fill out the housing contract by May 5th. So you accept your offer on the 1st, you've got a few days to complete your housing contract, and you'll be guaranteed housing. So May 5th is the final deadline. After you get to that, you can just like coast through the summer. You'll have a lot of things on your to-do list for the summer, but you won't have to worry about any admissions deadlines, and you can move on to college student deadlines, which are exciting. So, 10 minutes of dates and deadlines to remind you of. Told you it was a lot. Let's rock and roll with some questions. Joe wants to know, hang on, Joe, let me expand my screen so I can see your question. Will federal aid packages be presented with early action deadlines on January 15th? So will you receive your admissions decision and your financial aid package on the same day? No, but they come out very quickly after that. I think usually we say they come out in early March. I think they've been released earlier than that, to be honest, but they will not come directly with your admissions decision, nor will merit scholarship decisions. So a lot of people call us really frantic the day that they receive their admissions decision and say, oh, what about scholarships? And those decisions come out a few weeks later. We don't have a specific date that we release those. So just sit tight and celebrate being admitted. And then those scholarship decisions, as well as that financial aid package, will roll out a little bit later. Great question. James wants to know, does it matter when you apply? Well, as long as you apply before November 1st, it doesn't. So we are not on rolling admission. In other words, the sooner you apply does not impact your chances for admission necessarily. We review all of our people who applied before November 1st kind of under the same umbrella. So enrolling admission, a student who applies in August might have a better chance at getting into a school than a student who applies in December. So we used to be that. Now we're not. We're on early action. As long as you apply before November 1st, it won't impact your chances. After November 1st, we do have some space available. That's why we switched to this early action regular decision. So it's not like the end of the world. If you don't get your application in, I'll be really disappointed in you, but everything will be okay. We'll still have some space for students. So don't fret if you don't get it in. But there's really, I have some discussions with students who, try to figure out whether it, gaming the system sounds bad, but that's essentially, how do they increase their chances for admission, whether they apply early action or regular decision. I would apply early action 99% of the time. So it doesn't really matter, except that November 1st has that merit scholarship deadline, which is huge. And it just kind of makes the process a little bit more relaxed, I suppose. Sophia wants to know, is January 15th when all decisions come out, or can some students get responses earlier? January 15th is the day, my friend. So circle it on your calendar, set an alarm on your phone. Those are really only the 2 ways to set reminders. So I think that's all you need to do. But yes, even if you applied in August, you'll still receive a decision on January 15th. That's a really fun day. Make sure that you tweet your decision and Instagram it and use hashtag only Purdue, because me and my fabulous team who's in the comments moderating, we'll be replying to all of your messages, and we like retweet it, and it's so much fun. So when you receive your decision, share it with us, because we really like to share in that excitement with you. But January 15th is the one and only day. If you apply after November 1st, your decision will be released sometime between mid-January and early March. So there's no specific second decision release deadline for those students who apply regular decision. Bethany wants to know, is early action binding? No, ma'am. Early decision is going to be binding, and we don't do that. So don't worry about applying early action and being stuck with us. You can apply, no questions asked, and still have until May 1st to let us know whether or not you're coming. Let's see, some folks sent in, excuse me, told you I had a cough. Some folks sent in questions before, which is awesome. Way to be on the ball. And let me go down and see what questions they have. Daniel wanted to know, I hope you're in the chat, Daniel. I hope you're here. He wanted to know if he applied for early action before or on November 1st, if we would still accept the November 3rd SAT score. Here's the scoop. We will guarantee that we will review any scores that are received before November 1st. If we receive late October test scores or early November test scores before the admissions committee meets to review your application, we'll include them. We won't question it. There's no problem. It's not, everything's good to go. However, if you're the lucky soul whose application gets reviewed on November 2nd, we will not go back and re-review that application should your scores come in on November 10th. So we won't go back and review it again if we receive those scores after we've reviewed your application for admission, unless you ask us to. If you were denied to the university, we'll always appeal, or you can always appeal, and we will always re-review your application. So that's absolutely a possibility. However, if we get scores after we've reviewed your application just for admission the first time, we won't go back and review them. But if we have them before we review, we'd be more than happy to include those. So here's your plan. If you've already taken the SAT or ACT and you have, an October score that should come in, or a November score, here's what you're going to do. You're going to apply with your old test scores, and then you're going to send those new test scores to us. That way we have your completed application, you meet the November 1st deadline, and you're good to go. But those new scores could still potentially be included for admission and scholarship review. It's not guaranteed, but if you're already signed up to take the test and you're already planning on doing that, there's no reason not to send those scores to us. Let's see. Someone wanted to know, if you apply after November 1st, when do you get your reply? Sometime between mid-January and early March. I believe March 1st is the last day that we'll send out those admissions decisions. But usually we send them out about once a week. So you'll just have to watch your inbox. It'll be in your email first. Mikkel wants to know, merit scholarships are exclusive for early action then? Yep, you could say that. So it's, you just have to apply before November 1st. There are some students who select that they want the regular decision application, I think, on the Common App, and still apply before November 1st. So you'll still be in the running. You just have to be applied before November 1st to be included for merit scholarships. Jackson wants to know, when do we submit test scores and transcripts if not by November 1st? Good question. You will submit those once you're admitted to the university. So once you get your acceptance letter, we'll need you to send those official scores over to us, an official transcript sometime during your senior year, just so we can verify that you are honest with us. So just make sure that you send those, sometime, January, February, March would be plenty good. And then we'll need a final transcript from you once you graduate. Let's see here. Give me a second. I want to make sure we got our questions from the survey we sent out before. Sebastian wanted to know, does the specific college you're applying to make the admission decision, or does the university make a decision, then the college? So the fine folks in the Office of Admissions serve on the admissions committees along with some of our colleagues across campus, and you apply directly into the college that you want to be admitted to, directly into the program you want to study. So you will, you'll not like be admitted to Purdue in general, and then we'll funnel you down. You'll either be admitted to your first or second choice program, or you won't be admitted at all. So that's kind of how the admissions process is structured. Let's see. Oh, Chris wanted to know the Purdue supplemental essay is really short at 100 words. What are the most valuable or distinctive things to focus on? First, you can be really, you can focus on how thankful you are that you only have to write a paragraph instead of a full essay. It is a really short question, and we just want you to be really frank on why you want to come to Purdue, why you want to study what it is you want to study. So if that's, if you want to study biology because you've done research for the last 3 years over the summer, give us a few sentences on that. If you want to come to Purdue because you go to a really small high school and the thought of being at a really big college is super exciting for you, or, you love our basketball team, great choice. We love them too, but those are the types of things that we want to read in those supplemental essays. Just a real quick why, like what drives you, what matters to you. Those are the things that we want to know. Kathy wants to know about recommendation letters. Is a recommendation from your high school counselor needed on the application? We see one teacher and one other on the application, but under the counselor section, we were not sure. So no, your counselor doesn't technically need to fill out a recommendation for you. If they would like to, that's wonderful. Here's a scoop on letters of recommendation. When we're reviewing an application, we don't know what you don't tell us. So the more perspective you can provide, the more context you can provide about who you are, what you're good at, what you love, how other people in your life have viewed you and watched you grow and have watched you succeed in whatever way that is. That's going to be so helpful to us as we review your application. So even though they're not required, it's definitely worth asking if a counselor or a teacher or a coach or a friend or a mentor or your boss, whoever wants to write your letter of recommendation. Would not recommend asking your grandma to write your letter of recommendation, but that's just about the only no that I have. We just want to see someone who's going to brag on you. So whether that's a counselor or a teacher, it doesn't really matter. If you want to send both, that's cool too. 2 or 3 letters of recommendation is plenty. We don't need any more than that. Dylan wants to know, what if I accidentally applied to regular decision when I applied and paid, but I would have liked to apply for early action? As long as you apply before November 1st, you'll be in that merit scholarship pool. So don't worry too much. Yeah, don't worry. You're good. You can call us and double check if you want, but you should be good because your application was done before November 1st, not necessarily just because you chose early action. Let's see what else we are rolling with. Oh, last question from our survey from the fine folks who emailed us back. Alejandro wanted to know, can you put a major of engineering as your first choice major and exploratory studies as second choice, and then move from exploratory studies into engineering? Yes, it's not guaranteed. They do keep space open for students who are starting exploratory studies and want to become engineers. So yeah, that's a pretty good second choice. It's just we're not going to promise that you can move into it, but it is highly likely. So let's rock and roll in this chat. What other questions are we working with? Jared wants to know, if you have a sister on campus as a sophomore, are there any legacy scholarships that you can fill out or receive? Unfortunately, not for siblings. I think I saw someone in the chat earlier said that they had a lot of Boilermakers in their family. The Purdue Alumni Association does offer a legacy student scholarship if your grandparents went to Purdue. So if grandma and grandpa are Boilermakers, I don't know a whole lot about that scholarship process or when the deadlines are due, but I do know that they offer one for grandchildren of Purdue grads. So all of that information is on the Purdue Alumni Association website. My chat just blinked out, so there it is. It's back now. Dylan wants to know, do you know how to pursue vet med as it isn't a major, but pre-vet is? So if you want to be a veterinarian, you'll need to do 4 years of an undergrad program at Purdue. The vast majority of our vet students will study animal sciences in our College of Agriculture, and then they'll apply into vet school later on. So it's just like med school, law school, dental school, whatever school that you do after your undergraduate degree. You'll start in an undergrad program through our office, and then you'll apply into our School of Veterinary Medicine once you complete your classes and meet all of their prereqs. So that's the scoop on being a vet. We also have a cool major. I didn't know about it when I was a student at Purdue. I'm not a science person, so I wouldn't have done it, but there's a major called vet nursing. So if you want to be an animal nurse, we offer that as well, which I think is so cool. So it's not, a super long veterinarian school. You're not in school forever is what I'm trying to say. It's a 4-year degree, but it's a cool major that I always like to talk about because I think it's pretty neat. If you like puppy dogs and kitty cats and things of that nature, or big animals, we could do that too. Let me scroll through the chat and see what else we're working with. Would I be able to do both flight and engineering majors? So double majoring is possible. It is difficult in the College of Engineering, and I've never really learned much about how easy it is to do if you're a flight major, considering they have all of their flight hours that they need to complete. It can be done in engineering. It's just not going to be the easiest process. Double majoring is a lot easier if you're majoring in 2 programs that are in the same academic college. So if you want to double major, if you're a student in the College of Liberal Arts and you want to double major in, English and political science, a lot of your core classes are going to be the same. So there's going to be a lot of overlap on both of those plans of study, where if you're majoring in flight in the Polytechnic Institute and engineering in the College of Engineering, those plans of study are in 2 different academic colleges. So the core classes that you'll need to take are going to be different for both. So basically you're doing truly 2 degrees in 4 years. It's not impossible. It's just something that's worth chatting with an academic advisor. It looks different for every student. If you bring in a lot of AP credit or dual credit, that makes it a lot easier to double major. You can always minor. Those are 4 or 5 classes. They're pretty easy to add onto your plan of study. So that's always an option should a double major be kind of tedious to take on. But that's a great question. Blake wants to know if you already have a Common App essay, you can just apply it onto the application. Yeah, if you've written your Common App essay, pop that baby into the Common App and click submit. There are 2 Purdue specific questions. I hesitate to call them essays because they're about 100 words each. So a really quick paragraph. Those questions are why Purdue and why this major. So pretty straightforward. We just want you to be really candid with us. But yeah, if you have the Common App essay done, you've knocked out one of the big chunks of the application. So well done. Let's see here. More questions. Annie wants to know, what is the what else should we know about you question in the Coalition app? It seems very open-ended. It is very open-ended, Annie, excuse me. So there is a section on the Common App called Additional Info, and it might literally just say additional info. And that's your time to let us know if your grades were way off in your sophomore year compared to what your junior year looked like and your freshman year. And they were way off because, you lost your closest family member, or you really went through you had a sickness in your family, or you were sick, or you moved schools. I mean, there are a million circumstances that could make sense for your grades to dip a little bit. That's a situation where those questions, the additional info and the what else should we know about you question, that's where those really come into play. If there's, something about you or your life or your circumstances that it doesn't make sense to fit into any other part of the Common App or the Coalition app. That's what those open-ended, super vague sections are for, just so that you can really share with us every single piece of information that we need to make the most educated decision possible about you and your application. So don't stress too much. Like, if you don't have anything to put in additional info, don't worry, click submit. But if you have something that you think is worth sharing, just a paragraph or two is plenty, just to give us some context about who you are and what's gone on in your life. More questions. Jackson wants to know, can you talk about the Common App and the Purdue portal? Does submitting the Common App create a portal, or do we do that separately? Great question. So you submit your Common App to Purdue or your Coalition application. It goes off into, higher ed web somewhere, to us, not just somewhere. It comes to our office. And once we receive your application, you'll get an email from us, and that will allow you to set up your Purdue portal. On there, you can make changes to your application. If you misspelled your name, you can go back and fix it. If you need to submit particular forms, if we email you and say that we need, some kind of verification for whatever reason, you'll use that portal. So you'll get an email from us with steps on how to set that up. And that's where your decision will also be. We'll email you the decision as well, but then you can go back and find your decision letter with your Purdue ID and all of your next steps in that portal. So there's not a whole lot of reason to log into it right now. Once you submit your application, it's not something that you need to check daily until January 15th, and then make sure that you log in. But that's just where those official Purdue things will start to happen between the time that you receive your decision and the time that you accept your offer. Then you'll get kind of the whole Purdue student setup. But that's the scoop on the student portal. Also, make sure that you write down your password. We get a lot of calls from a lot of students who don't remember their password for their Purdue portal, which is fine. We love talking to you guys. So you can call us anytime, but it's helpful just to write down the password, pro tip, in a safe place, and then you'll be all set. Dylan wants to know, does Purdue look at how you did during your senior year as well? Yes, we will review your final transcript, and any of our admissions decisions can be rescinded if your grades really drop. We admit you on the contingency of your grades staying the same and being kind of what we expect them to be, what they have been in the past. In other words, don't let senioritis take over, because we have rescinded offers. It's not fun. It's not something we like to do, but we do review your senior year grades. So once you get accepted, keep trucking through, and then we won't have any problems, because we don't want to have any problems. It's not very fun for anyone. Roshni wants to know, if you choose the early action deadline, when can you expect to hear back on your admissions decisions? January 15th. If you apply before November 1st, you'll have a decision on January 15th. I'll say that a million more times, but that is the deadline, or that is not the deadline. That is the day that you will receive your admissions decision. And it should be a pretty exciting day. It will be sent out in an email, so you don't have to check your mailbox. We will send you a packet full of information a few weeks later. Those usually come out, but it'll be in your email, not your mailbox like the good old days when I was applying to college, you lucky kids. Let's see what other questions we're working with. Hang on, they're coming in so fast I can't read, you guys. I'm losing them. They're just like, burp, 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 burp. But that's great. I'm happy for that. Here we go. Nina wants to know, when you submit the Common App, what if the counselor doesn't get the school report in by November 1st, but you've turned in everything well before that date? That's fine. Some students, we love having a school profile. It's so, so helpful. And we love having that school report from the counselor. But some students don't submit them. Some don't tell their counselor where they're applying, which is not a good plan. We love our high school counselors. They are so helpful. You should use them as a wonderful resource, because that's why they're there. But if we do not have a school report, if we don't have a letter of recommendation, it's not going to set you back. Neither of those are required for admission, and it will not be a big deal if they come in after November 1st. Like I said, they're super helpful, so don't just not send them, but they will not set you back or put you at a disadvantage if, for whatever reason, we don't receive them. Let's see what else we're working with. Does the School of Engineering require subject SATs? Charlie, no. None of our colleges require, nor do we really look at subject tests. So don't worry about taking them. Don't worry about it. If you're applying to other schools that accept those subject tests, take the test, but don't feel like taking them will put you at an advantage at Purdue. It won't. They're just not really something that we consider. We also do not require the essay portion or the writing portion of either the SAT or ACT. And students get really happy when I tell them that. So if you've registered for it, take that portion off. Don't worry about sending those scores to us. We don't need to see those. They are not a big deal for us. Let's see. Juan wants to know if you come in after November 1st, are you still considered for early action? No, you will be considered for regular decision. And really all that means is that there might be a few less spots available. And you won't be considered for merit scholarships. And that merit scholarship piece is a really big piece for a lot of students. So don't miss out. There's really no reason to wait until after November 1st to apply. But you will be considered in the regular decision pool after November 1st, and then you'll receive a decision sometime between mid-January and early March. Usually we send them out about once a week. So there's not a specific deadline, but that's the scoop. Let's see here. Someone wants to know if Purdue does rolling admission. So someone who applied, yesterday, would they have an advantage over someone who applies on October 29th or 30th? No. We used to do rolling admission. We don't anymore. So the whole point of early action is that everyone who applies before that November 1st deadline has the same chance for admission as anyone else. So you don't need to worry about rushing through your application to submit it, 2 days sooner than the guy that sits next to you in calculus. But you just need to make sure that you get it in before that November 1st deadline. Everyone who comes in before then will have an equal chance and equal chance. Yeah, that's the word I want. Someone wants to know if Purdue has housing clustered by majors to make it seem like a smaller school. We do. You'll need to apply to that as part of the housing process. We call them learning communities on campus. They're not required, but they are an opportunity for you to live on a floor, take some classes with people who either have the same interest as you or the same major. But it is one of the hundreds of ways that you can make a really large campus feel small. So that's an option. Again, they're called learning communities, and you'll need to apply for them as part of the housing process. Someone wants to know, we got that one checked off. You're taking an ACT on October 27th. Would those scores be considered? I talked about this a little earlier, so I'll give you a quick rundown. It depends. If you have taken the SAT or the ACT, go ahead and send those scores to us with the rest of your application. If those October 27th ACT scores come in before we review your application, we will be happy to consider them, happy to include them, no problem whatsoever. If, however, your scores come in after we've reviewed your application, if you're just the lucky soul who is the first application that we read all year long, we won't go back and review your application if new test scores come in after we've looked at it. Unless you don't get admitted to the university, then you can appeal your decision, and we would be happy to go back and review it with new scores. So the answer is it depends, which is the answer to a lot of admissions questions sometimes, and I know that's frustrating, but as long as we have them before we review your application, they will be considered. But if those are the only test scores that you have to meet the November 1st deadline. If you're only taking it on October 27th, you probably won't meet that early action deadline. So hopefully you've taken the SAT or the ACT before and can send those just to make sure that you meet that deadline. Let's see. Juan also wants to know if you submitted your application already. Your guidance counselor won't submit her letter of recommendation until after November 1st. Will you still be considered for early action? Yes. Again, letters of recommendation, guidance counselor forms, school profiles, none of those are required to apply. So you will still meet that early action deadline, even if you don't get that letter of recommendation in until after November 1st. Great question. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm getting all of these. Oh, someone asked earlier, and I think I touched on this, but I can't remember if I answered it or not. If you apply early action, when do you hear back? January 15th. So I'll say it, a few more times before the night comes to an end. That's the scoop. January 15th is the deadline, or the date. I keep calling it a deadline. It's on my mind. The date when you will hear back on whether or not you got into Purdue. Let's see what other questions we have before we wrap this party up. You guys have been wonderful. So if you have more questions, throw them in the chat box real quick, and we will get those answered. I hope that you're having a really good senior year, and that the stress and busyness of it is not keeping you from really enjoying your senior year, because senior year is so much fun. It should be so much fun. So make sure that you're sleeping and eating well and managing your stress, and have some outlets where you can enjoy yourself and put your phone down and just enjoy all that high school has to offer, because that's really what it's all about. And we don't want these deadlines to, cause you guys to be in a panic 24/7. That's not our goal. We care about you, and we want you to have a really great senior year. So hopefully this is helpful, and you guys are all breathing easy, sleeping well tonight, and feeling a lot better. Carrie wants to know if credit for AP classes, if we accept that. There's not a limit. All of the AP credits are the classes that we accept, or the credits that we accept and the classes you receive for them are in a chart on our website under transfer student information. The tab is called Transferring Credit to Purdue. Typically 3s, 4s, and 5s will get you credit, and you can send those scores to us. Usually students will send them the summer after their senior year before they come to Purdue. Let's see. I know rec letters are not required, but are they considered if submitted? Absolutely. Even though they're not required, send them, please. That's like the one piece of information that's not required that I would beg of you to submit. We review a lot of applications, and we see a lot of really stellar students. And sometimes a letter of recommendation can really be the thing that makes an admissions committee member remember you, or, kind of want to fight for you or vouch for you, or it makes you feel human. And so if you can find an adult who will brag on you and tell us how great you are, those can really be the difference sometimes for students who are on the borderline for whether or not they're competitive for admission. Also for merit scholarships and honors college. By the time we get down to selecting students for those, you're all really smart, you're all really talented. So having a letter of recommendation or two can really set you apart. So they're not required, but by golly, send a few to us. Fee waiver on the application, and then we'll do a few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. The fee waiver has some qualifying questions, or there are some qualifying questions on the application to determine whether or not you're eligible for a fee waiver. Are you on free or reduced lunch? Did you receive an SAT or ACT fee waiver? Things of that nature. So that's that portion of the Common App or Coalition App is how we choose which students, or not choose, it just determines which students are eligible for a fee waiver. So that is the scoop on that. When do high schools need to send transcripts by? I don't remember when final transcripts are due for our admitted students who decide to attend Purdue. I want to say it's early August. Really, the sooner you're done with the semester, request your transcript, have them send it over. That's not one of those things that you want to put off, because you'll have a million things on your to-do list next summer. Things you need to pack for your dorm. You have to, find a roommate or meet your roommate or color coordinate your bedding with your roommate. Hey, those are my kind of people. And having your high school send your transcript is one of those things that can very easily get looked over. And it's just so simple to request that. Do it as soon as you graduate, do it as soon as your grades are finalized, and then, move on with your other to-do list items for the summer. Let's see. I think we're getting to all of our deadline related questions. Thanks 1.5 million to my wonderful team, Joffrey, Caitlin, Kathy, Christine. They are manning the chat behind the scenes and have been so helpful in keeping us on subject and making sure that you guys still get all of your questions answered. So shout out to them. You guys are rock stars. Oh, there was one other question that I wanted to answer, and then we're going to call it a night. You guys are wonderful. How do you know that your application's been received? Super question. You just cross your fingers. No, I'm kidding. You don't just cross your fingers. You should receive an email from us that will allow you access into your student portal. If you don't receive an email from us that says, thank you for applying to Purdue, your application is complete, you should probably give us a call. Sometimes, computers get weird or something happens. Because you're submitting all of your information at once now, it should be a whole lot easier. So if your test scores are there because you typed them in. If your grades are there because you're the one that put in all of your classes. So if you don't get that email, give us a call or email us or DM us on Instagram or tweet us. Find some way. Don't send us a carrier pigeon because we don't know how to accept those. But find some kind of way to get in touch with us so that we can confirm that for you. We have fabulous students who work in our call center. We have counselors on staff every day, and that's why we're there, and that's why we get paid. So we would be more than happy to confirm that your application was received, because it's a lot easier to do that than to realize on January 16th, when you don't have an admissions decision, that you applied to one of our regional campuses or you didn't click submit. All things that happen, not to scare you, because I promised that I would make you breathe easier, but those are things that happen. So if you have any questions, any hesitation, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we can check for you. Whew. With that, you guys are amazing. You've had wonderful questions. I hope we got to most of them. If we did not, please send us an email, admissions@purdue.edu, and it will get forwarded to one of our darling counselors who would be happy to answer your questions about anything, not just deadlines, but literally anything. We're here and we love to chat with you. So shoot us an email. We are also on social media, and myself and my lovely team who have joined you in the chat answer a lot of questions through social media, and you can totally DM us a question about admissions on Instagram. It would be my pleasure to reply to you and to answer your question there, or on Twitter or on Facebook. So make sure you follow us, because that's how you stay in the loop on deadlines and upcoming YouTube lives and all sorts of fun events. Make sure you follow us on those channels. Again, send us an email. Please apply before November 1st. You guys, you knew I was going to say it one more time, and you'll have a decision on January 15th. Enjoy your senior year. Have a wonderful rest of your fall, and boiler up. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good evening. Oh, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sorry, Caitlin, I forgot. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.